Hi guys, welcome back. Back with Miss Chavez, and today we're going to be reading A Different Way to Fly. And again, our focus and our objectives during these passages are to work on our context clues and inferring skills and connecting the context clues with our background knowledge so that we can better infer the meaning of unknown words. As always, I'll go ahead and do a dry run of the story first, and then I'll go back and I'll analyze the sentences and words with you. So, A Different Way to Fly. Billboards standing along the highway are easily ignored, but a 200-foot billboard floating across the sky grabs everyone's attention. That's why blimps are so attractive to advertisers with a product to sell or a message to communicate. But advertising is only one of the uses for a blimp. Blimps can be moved easily to different locations at varying altitudes. This makes them useful for a variety of purposes. Scientists use blimps for collecting samples used in the study of air pollution. The United States Navy employs them for offshore patrols, and one was even used to search for the elusive Loch Ness monster, supposed to inhabit a lake in Scotland. The main body of the blimp is a large bag called the envelope. It is inflated with helium gas. The blimp stays aloft because helium is 7 times lighter than air. Once inside the envelope, the helium is left there unless the blimp needs major repairs. After the envelope has been filled, a cabin called a gondola is attached under it. This is where the crew and passengers ride. It is also where the light panels used for advertisements are attached. Computer graphics provide a dazzling display of pictures and words that can be matched by any billboard. Pause, guys. Sorry. Blimps are propelled by 2 engines, one on each side, and can attain a top speed of about 40 miles an hour. Although slow in comparison to airplanes, blimps can do something most planes cannot. They can stop and hover in midair. This ability enables them to provide a stationary platform for the television cameras covering sporting events, giving viewers a bird's-eye view of the action. Blimps are not designed to take a buffeting from high winds, though. They usually can go up only when the air is calm. When not flying, they have to be moored by the front end to a tall mast on a truck, especially equipped for this purpose. Plenty of space is needed because the blimp has to be free to swivel clear of the ground when the wind changes. In some cities, it is possible to buy a ticket and go on a sightseeing trip in a blimp. Because blimps fly so slowly and at such a low altitude, those on board enjoy superb views of the ground below. You might wonder what would happen if the envelope got a small hole in it. Would the helium rush out, causing the gondola to plummet to the ground? Passengers need not worry about that. Their lives would not be in jeopardy if such thing happened. Why? The pressure of the air outside the envelope is greater than that of the helium inside. Because of that, the helium doesn't easily escape, and because helium is not flammable, there is no danger of the envelope's contents catching fire. Flying in a blimp is safe and enjoyable. Alright, I don't know about you guys, but I have never been in a blimp, and I have a severe fear of falling, so I will probably never be in a blimp. But it does sound safe if you wanted to try it. Alright, and I know the book is already annotated, but that's okay. I'm just going to walk you through what I did. So the first word we come to is pollution. And one of the key words in the sentence that lets us know what it is the word air, because that gives us a location so that we can frame in our mind where this pollution is. And we know that the root word of pollution is pollute. And we know from background knowledge that if something is polluted, it's dirty. There's lots of different things there like trash or other things. But in the air specifically, there's smog. And if you look at big cities like New York or Chicago, any of those big cities, a lot of times you'll see smog in the air because of all the air pollution. So that's what they were collecting. So For our inferred meaning, I wrote the state of being polluted or dirty. The second word we come to is elusive. And the key words in this sentence that really help us to know what elusive means are the words search and Loch Ness Monster. This is because the word search implies that you are looking for something, and we only look for something if it's hard to find or we've lost it, which is where the Loch Ness Monster comes in. The Loch Ness Monster has never been found by scientists. There have been unofficial sightings and pictures that have surfaced of just random people that have been like, oh, I had a sighting of the Loch Ness Monster, but it has not officially been found by science. Therefore, it's very elusive. It is hard to find. So for our implied meaning, that's what we have written down. Hard to find, elusive. Our next word is inflated. And that sentence reads, it is inflated with helium gas. But the sentence before mentions a large bag, and two sentences after states after the envelope has been filled. So this sentence right here is going to be the most telling for us because it tells us that the envelope, which is the large bag, has been filled with helium gas. So we can safely infer that the word inflated means to fill with gas. Which brings us to aloft. Now, in this sentence, it says the blimp stays aloft because helium is 7 times lighter than air. All right, let's think about our background knowledge. What else do we know that is lighter than air? Usually a feather. And feathers float if they are in air. They don't sink really fast and they don't fly way up. But because they're lighter, they float. You can also spell the word float with the letters that are already in aloft, which is how I tend to remember the meaning. And so we can write that our inferred meaning is float. And if we do a word substitution in our sentence, just to double check, it still makes sense because it would read, the blimp stays floating because helium is 7 times lighter than air. So you can always double check by doing a word substitution. All right, our next word is propelled. And the sentence reads, blimps are propelled by 2 engines, one at each side, and can attain a top speed of about 40 miles an hour. So some key words in this sentence are 2 engines. Why? Because engines move things forward. And later in the sentence, we can see that it's at a top speed of about 40 miles an hour. So they're going forward. They are being pushed through the air at about 40 miles an hour. So we can safely assume that the word propelled means moved forward. Now, there's a second word in this sentence, and it's attain. This one we don't really have a lot of context clues for, so we're going to have to rely on our background knowledge. And we can do this by doing a word substitution. So if I read the sentence with a blank where the word attain is, and use my background knowledge to think what other words make sense in that sentence, I can infer the meaning based off of that, or at the very least find a synonym for it. So if I were to read, and can blank a top speed of about 40 miles an hour, and I think back, I know that the word reach would make sense there because it would read, can reach a top speed of about 40 miles an hour. So through that word substitution and my background knowledge, I can safely infer that attain could mean reach. And our next word is hover. So this sentence is, they can stop and hover in midair. So right off the bat, the word stop should let you know, when combined with midair, that you're not moving forward, you're not moving backwards, up or down, you're just hovering in the air above the ground. So for our inferred meaning, we can write to stay in one place above the ground. And the last word I'm going to do with you guys before I release you to do the words on your own is stationary. And the sentence is, this ability enables them to provide a stationary platform for the television cameras covering sporting events, giving viewers a bird's eye view of the action. And the first word I have underlined is platform, because typically platforms don't move. They're stationary so that whoever or whatever object is on there stays still and doesn't move. And the second set of words is television cameras. We know that you can't really record clear images if the television cameras are moving. So it would make sense for stationary, if we do our word substitution to check and see if it makes sense, if we say enables them to provide a non-moving platform for the television cameras, that makes a lot of sense. And so we can safely infer that the word stationary means non-moving or staying in place. Okay. So just like before, I'll read you guys the sentences with the circled vocabulary word in it and put a question in there for you to let me know what the definition is that you inferred based on the context clues. All right, in your first sentence, the blimps are not designed to take a buffeting from high winds, though. When not flying, they have to be moored by the front end to a tall mast on a truck especially equipped for this purpose. Plenty of space is needed because the blimp has to be free to swivel clear of the ground when the wind changes. Because blimps fly so slowly and at such a low altitude, those on board enjoy superb views of the ground below. Would the helium rush out, causing the gondola to plummet to the ground? Passengers need not worry about that. Their lives would not be in jeopardy if such a thing happened. And because helium is not flammable, there is no danger of the envelope's contents catching fire. And that was our last word. Thanks so much for hanging in there with me, guys. You are doing such good work. Remember to work on using context clues in everyday conversations with your friends and your peers and your family, and work on inferencing words that you might not know. And as always, I challenge you to use these in conversations during our lives or with each other in general. Feel free to leave me any questions, comments, or concerns, as well as any celebrations. Have a good day.